Someone said that one thing that unites all of us is that every one of us at some point is going to be old. So today we are going to be talking about old age, health issues, and everything in between. And I can see our speaker is here ready, and she's looking amazingly beautiful. Ivy, you're looking beautiful this morning. So I call upon Dr. Lucita, who is going to give us a poem. Does she have anything for us? And then she's going to do the needful too.
Good morning.
Dr. Lucita, good morning.
Thank you, Lady Noel. It's a beautiful Monday morning from County 046 as always. I want to take this moment to thank the Power Monday leadership for always being here, for always organizing. And who are we as Power Monday? We are the powerhouse. We are what was founded at the peak of what was not supposed to be COVID. Friends sat, and out of it, there was purpose. We meet every single Monday from 7:15 to 8:15, but we join in earlier. And not only do we meet virtually every single Monday morning, we meet quarterly. And the last quarter of the year, it's culminated with a dinner. And I can't wait to meet all of you on the last Friday of October. And of course, October is a day away from today. Allow me to comment shortly on the lovers of books. We also read books because we are leaders, so we are readers. If you've not got a glimpse of this book, please do. It's authored by our very own OPP, Timeless Leadership. Please do get through it. Today, I want to talk about, to recite a poem on how to keep going. You know that song that says, one day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking of you. So keep going. We keep going. When life feels hard and the skies turn gray, don't lose your step. Just find the escape and move each day. Keep going. When the path is long and the road is bent, but every turn, let me tell you, one day it will show a brighter end. Keep going. I know that your heart is strong. Though storms may rise and clouds may part, I assure you the sun will shine across the skies. Keep going. When fear takes hold and doubt creeps so near, stand tall inside, breathe deep and say, I will not fear. Keep going. When the climb is tough and your feet may ache, you don't have to give up. Each step you take, a change you make. Keep going. The night is so dark and the scars seem few, but light will come as we said, mornings come and the sun will shine on you. Keep going. Dreams may seem so far and hope may feel so small, but steady hearts, they rise again. Keep going. Rest if you must, but you don't have to stay there because the road is yours and the step is yours to take. Keep going. One step, one breath, one prayer, one song. Again, one step, one breath, one prayer, one song. You'll find your place where you belong. Keep going. Keep on strong through the joy, through the pain, through the loss, through the love, through the sun, through the rain. Keep going. You will reach there. Keep going. Thank you.
Dr. Lucita, that was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing. Whatever you do, guys, keep going. Even if you're going to crawl, even if you're going to move on your tummy, whatever you do, just keep going. Just keep going. Thank you so much, Dr. Lucita. Thank you so much. That was such an encouraging poem. Asante sana. Okay, I call upon none other than our very own Maurice Omondi to introduce the guest of the day today.
Keep going. And when you started singing that song, I really wanted you to continue doing the song. And even the poem itself came out so nicely. Thank you so much. So today we are so much privileged to have Miss Ivy Khaguli. You'll confirm for me whether it is pronounced Chaguli or Aguli. She is a compassionate and dedicated registered nurse in Kenya with over 3 years of experience in elderly care. And she will be telling us how she got into this, because as you can see, she's very young and beautiful and energetic, and got into a very specialized area. So she'll be telling us more why she got into this area. She has served with the Aga Khan Social Welfare Board Elderly Care Program, and has since developed a strong passion in elderly care. So through her work, and she has really curated personalized home health nursing programs, because as you all know, when it comes to elderly care, you can either be in an institutionalized place or even at home. And for those who plan very well, and for those who don't plan or very well, or sometimes because of the natures where we are, you find yourself maybe in a home for the elderly. So today we are so much privileged to have her here. She'll be sharing with us about her own experience, about caring for older persons, and also challenging us on what we need to do to prepare as we age gracefully. So without much ado, I just want to welcome her. And we are so happy to do this together with Power Monday. I work with CPF Foundation, but I'm also a member of Power Monday. So we are so happy to do this together. And as you all know, the month of October is dedicated to older persons. So this is a very timely discussion. And without much ado, welcome Ivy Chaguli or Khaguli. You tell us how to pronounce it properly. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. How are you, everyone? Thank you so much for giving me this amazing chance to be a part of you people this morning. Thank you so much, Power Monday, for creating a space where people really get a chance to feel so enlightened and encouraged in the morning, especially on Mondays, because, we all look at Mondays as this grave day or gray day, but I'm glad to know that there's indeed segments where we can lock in for an hour and get motivated and learn in the meantime. I want to thank you, Dr. Lucita, for your beautiful poem. Keep going. The topic is also in line with what we're talking about, because we're talking about old age, and as we age, we need someone to keep telling us, keep going. So as we look into the month of older persons, I think, Dr. Lucita, you might need to refine your poem and throw in something elder friendly, when your bones are getting weak and your muscles are failing, keep going, something like that. So, just to keep us going, because we have this fear around age. Just a brief introduction. My name is Ivy Khaguli. It's pronounced as Khaguli. As Maurice has explained to you, I am a registered nurse by profession, and I love to describe myself as a true lover of old people. And obviously not in a weird sense, but to say that I dedicate my career to making sure that growing old is celebrated and not feared. Over the years, I've been privileged to work in home care settings and care home settings, as he had mentioned. I was privileged to work with Aga Khan Social Welfare Board under the elder care program. And this gave me hands-on experience and insight to see how our bodies change over time and the needs that arise over time when we age. And from there, I was able to transition into now curating personalized and curated measures of, taking care of yourself at home. So that's the telehealth part of it. So we bring health to the convenience of your home. And this not only encompasses old people, it also has services for younger people or people who are not aged, or you need somewhere just to recover, and medical profession for it. So my profession really started with old age, and I developed over time. I started working in the hospital, in Nairobi Hospital, and then I transitioned into now working for Aga Khan for this care program that they have. And so here I've been able to create this love, create this new profound profession, which is now taking care of older people. And that's what I do for now. So that's just a brief introduction of who I am. I'm glad to be a part of this session today. I'll run through about a 25-minute interactive session. So let's be interactive. Let's ask questions. Let's be attentive. And I'm more than glad to really take you through. I'll try and share my screen.
Well, I think we can go on with this. Yeah.
Can you see at least some part of the slides?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Sorry about that.
No.
Let me just try and reintroduce the topic again if I've lost anyone as we are trying to set up. We are talking about preparing for the golden ages. And these are golden years where we say is golden because these are bonus years. We get to live life when we have built, when we have created a family, when we have done things that fulfill us. How do we prepare for those golden years? And so this is where the conversation is going to be. I've already done an introduction about myself. As I've said, I am a nurse by profession, and I have been privileged to be able to work with older persons under care programs. And under this, I'm able to offer care as well as curate systems which favor older people in their aging so that they age with dignity, with love, and with fulfillment. Today, we're going to explore aging. And, as the screen says, aging is a journey we must all walk. And, just as I was joking with Dr. Lucita, telling her, we need to now curate this poem to encourage us as we're aging, because aging is indeed a journey we must walk, and we need the push to feel that we need to keep going. The golden years can be graceful with the right preparation. There's always this mentality surrounding old age that we feel as though, I don't want to get old. I don't want to lose my independence. I don't want to lose, stuff that I have. So we want to kill that stigma and that mentality as well through this presentation as well. We'll understand what aging is about. We'll understand how we prepare for the golden age, for the golden years. And we'll also look at care options. This is where now I come in a medical field to say that when we grow, obviously there's changes, there's needs that come up. And so how do we prepare for that? How do we look into ways which we can back ourselves up and create a buffer so that as we continue growing older, we do have somewhere where we can fall back on. And then we'll have a Q&A session where I would love for you people, and most of us basically, to just be interactive in the session, ask questions, let's share gems, let's share what keeps you going, and then we'll wrap up the session. Just to introduce aging, aging is a gradual process of physical, mental, and social changes over time. So what this means is over time, we experience some changes that come up. We move from childhood, we move from youth, we move to youth, we move to adulthood. And when we are in childhood, this is when we are energetic. Think about ages 0 to 12 years old. This is an approximate age, 0 to 12 years old. This is when we are full of life, full of energy. Our bodies and our minds are growing at a very fast rate. There's a lot of falling and getting up at this age, and this is where we are learning, and we're still very dependent at this age. Then we transition into youth, and this is where now we have a lot of energy. There's a lot of identity formation in the sense that we understand ourselves. There's so many choices we make. We try to curate a path for ourselves during our youth. This is the time in our lives where we make choices which eventually shape our adulthood. And these choices are things which we will eventually look at in our adulthood, smile about it or cry about it, depending on the choices we made in our youth. And then we transition into the adulthood where now real-time responsibilities start to face us. This is where we are now juggling work, we are now juggling a career, we are juggling family, we are juggling all of these things. And this is also the phase of life where some of our choices that we made start having an impact on us, meaning if we took care of our health from childhood all until we got to adulthood, we get to reap that. We get to transition into adulthood with a lot of strength, with a lot of energy. Our mental space is also good in adulthood. And the same acts as vice versa. If we have incorporated habits which are not healthy into our systems, we start to feel an impact at this time. Then we transition into elderly years. And this is ages, think about ages 60 to 74. And this is when wisdom kicks in and life starts slowing down a little bit. This is when you start to experience the real changes of aging. And this is where now you feel your body changing. You feel the energy is now not higher than like how it was perhaps when you were in your youth or your childhood. You start noticing some of these changes. And, you know, despite the fact that we have changes in our health and changes in our mental, this is also the year where we have a lot of stories and memories to give, you know, our younger loved ones. And then we now transition to the golden years. And this is where now I call it the bonus round of life. By that, I mean, this is where now we take time to slow down indeed and get to enjoy what we built. Whatever we were working so hard in our adulthood, creating a career, creating assist, creating a fallback plan, creating a retirement plan. This is when we now get to live. And this is where eventually we want to be. And this is the whole driving point of the conversation. How do we prepare to make sure that by the time we are done toiling, by the time we are done running around trying to build a career, trying to build family, what do we really look back at and reflect in and see? And honestly, the golden years is where there's a lot of reflection that, you know, determines how you age. And this is where you feel people say, you know, I'm aging miserably, or I'm aging, you know, it's frustrating how I'm aging. Or this is also the years where people feel very fulfilled. And all of this is completely determined or dependent on how you spend these other stages of your life. Let's talk about retirement and aging, because there's a common misconception, or there's a way we often confuse both terms, retirement and aging. So when we think about retirement, you know, retirement nowadays has been made for us to feel as though, you know, we're not working, we're financially free, we do not have to wake up in the morning to run after a paycheck, we do not have to toil so hard. This is when now we feel as though life can settle down now. And in retirement, there's a lot of social economic changes, as I'm saying. This is when now you look at yourself financially, also in your life, career-wise as well, and you say, okay, to whichever extent I've reached, I feel as though I'm fulfilled enough, financially I'm fulfilled enough, and you decide to say, okay, I'm going to retire now, and now tap into things that now fill my soul. Retirement is also marked by leaving formal work. You know, policies like in the country, we do have by the age of 65, you are automatically forced to retire because of policies or choice. And this is when I say they're usually tied to policy or choice, where you don't have an option. You might be 65 and you're very energetic to continue working, but policies force you to retire. And that is what retirement is. Retirement is also marked by leaving formal work, as I've explained. Whatever you consider as your formal work, that and the point where you get where you feel now I can completely transition into doing something that fuels my soul, or I can relax and now enjoy the fruits of what I was working for, that is what marks retirement. Let's take a look at aging. Aging, on the other hand, is a biological process. It starts from when we are born. Aging is marked by our birthdays, for example. Every time we turn a year older, aging is going on. And so this is also something to differentiate retirement and aging, because sometimes people feel both of them are in tune, but aging is a daily experience. It is very much individual tied, and it is not tied to work, meaning that you as an individual age individually. It is not determined by any other external factors or policies or anything set up. It is just how your body is taking the wear and tear of everyday life. And this also determines your health and life changes. All of this comprise of aging. And the beauty about aging and retirement is whatever we do in retirement and whatever we do in aging all lead to a common goal, which is we aim for a quality of life in our older age. The reason as to why we will set up retirement funds, we will work so hard, is because we want to have a good quality of older life. Why are you working now so hard? Why are you creating what you're creating right now? Obviously, you're looking at your latter years. And so the common goal of retirement, the common goal of aging is to have a good quality in your older years. So just to sum it up for us to understand the difference between retirement, think about retirement as closing your office laptop. The way you, at the end of the day, you'll close your laptop and say, okay, now I'm done. I'll come back to this on Monday, or I'll not come back to this again. That is kind of what retirement feels like. It's something which you can decide today, I'm done and I'm not coming back to it. But aging on the other end, think about it like your laptop gradually installing or updating a software. However, this now can come with bugs or new features. What I mean by this is, as our body continually ages or as we change over time, there's some things that can come up as a result of us aging. And this is what I term as bugs or new features. We slow down, or we become wiser, or we lose autonomy or become dependent. Or on the positive, we now become very good at what we do, or we become very fulfilled in our careers or in our lives. The common goal is quality of life. We want, whether we are retiring or whether we are aging, to make sure that whichever steps we're taking as these two things happen all lead to a good quality of life in the older ages. The icons just try to show, that they're yanking a paper of papers all over. This is retirement. I'm done with it. But aging is a slow, gradual process. Think about it like a sun timer. Slow, but it's continually going. Our bodies don't grow down. Our bodies grow down, not up. When I say this, I mean to say, yes, we feel we grow up, but when you think about it literally, our bodies grow down. And in that sense, I mean, we begin to notice changes in ourselves as we age. And positive aging really begins with changing our mindset. As I started saying, there's always this mentality or stigma surrounding aging. We feel as though it's this dark gray. Whenever you tell someone, paint for me a picture of aging, you'll always see people talk about, dark clouds, or, something which feels as though, I'm so scared to really be in this period of my life. But when we start tuning our minds, and that's why I threw in the statements to tell us, our bodies grow down and not up. The minute we start tuning our minds to realizing that, yes, in as much as the number keeps going up in terms of age, our body is growing down. And how do we tune our minds to this to realize that indeed we're changing? And so we need to realize that we need to nurture ourselves differently, with care, with compassion, and with preparation. And that's the whole point. We want to prepare our minds to the possibilities and the eventualities that is aging. And here I'm showing some of the changes that are associated with aging. There's loss of autonomy. What this means is things that you were able to do on your own before, you notice that you're not able to do it independently. You notice you need help now. Maybe you need help to feed. You need help to groom or to get dressed. You lose that autonomy. There's a lot of fatigue. We often see older persons talking about fatigue, or I'm tired, or muscle and joint aches, arthritis. Your knees start aching and popping a little harder than they were in your adult years, for example. You have bladder changes and bowel changes. A lot of balance difficulties start erupting as well from here. And these are things that just show us that indeed we are aging, meaning we are going up in number, but our bodies are really slowing down. And when we open our minds to this, it helps us prepare better for our golden years. talking about us growing down obviously means there'll be risks involved in our older years. And oftentimes we obviously think about the physical risks. We don't want anyone to fall. We don't want someone to get sick or get lifestyle changes or older ages conditions. We always think about this, but we sometimes forget that aging also comes with cognitive decline. It comes with mental decline. It comes with loneliness. These are things that are real-time concerns that older people deal with on a daily basis. And that's why when we prepare for aging, we are not only preparing for our bodies only, we are trying to also curate our minds, and condition our minds, create a system so that when we get to our older ages, even as we get to this risk of loneliness, for example, because the world is getting fast paced. We're getting to a point where it's not like how it was before when when our parents are aging and they can come and live with us and still feel as though they have a sense of belonging. Life is getting fast paced to a point where we are now working, we are now busy. We do not have people who can be there with our aging loved ones. And so how do you, as someone who's aging, also prepare yourself for that possibility in knowing that as we keep moving, as time keeps moving, it's getting dynamic, it's getting fast paced. It won't be the same as how it is now, where we feel we have people around us. And so we need to also start tapping our mental, in a sense, as, how do we create hobbies? How do we create a routine of things that we feel we like that can end up serving us in our old age to prevent us from even feeling isolated or lonely, for example, which is a major concern in old age. Let's talk about some of the risks which I have been able to see in my practice working with older people. And this slide just shows you few conditions, but we can explore so many, but these are what I feel are really vital whenever we're aging. And these are things that we see in the health profession that really cause a problem or it's debilitating in older ages. First is falls and fractures. When you age, we've talked about our muscles, we've talked about our bones, we've talked about all of that slowing down. And so we are now more susceptible to falls and fractures. Our muscles are weaker, so it's easy for us to fall and break a bone. And think about it, we're aging, so our bone health is not as strong as it was perhaps when we were in our youth or in our adulthood. Now, in our older years or in our golden years, it's no longer the same. So we are frail now. It's easy for us to break. Secondary conditions start showing up. This is where you feel we often hear people say, I'm hypertensive, I'm diabetic, or I'm developing dementia, or this other stuff that are secondary conditions that develop as a result of old age. It is not necessarily to mean that there's anything that you have done wrong or you have missed in your journey of aging to make you develop a condition. These are just real-time conditions that just occur as a result of aging. Think about it as wear and tear of a machine. The more you use it, the more you expect you to service some parts here and there. Let's talk about injuries, and it's also tying into falls and fractures. Obviously, the minute an older person has fallen, you can think about an 80-year-old person falling or a 90-year-old person falling. The way the fall, the way their bodies take the blow of a fall is not how when you were in your youth or when you were in your childhood perhaps were taking. And so now injuries are taking a longer recovery time. We also have mental decline. And this is where I was trying to say previously, how do we take care of our mental health, and how do we also prepare for good mental health in our older ages, because this is now something that has become a real concern in the society with our older persons. They're having a lot of cognitive decline, depression, loneliness, frustration. There's a lot of forgetfulness. And honestly, these are just changes of older age, but it's very debilitating to an older person because it is very frustrating. Think about it. This is someone who once was fit, was healthy, was very independent, very capable enough to take care of themselves. And then now the body is slowly starting to slow down and you need help, and you're noticing you're forgetting, you're noticing you're becoming slower. You get frustrated, you start feeling miserable, and all of these things just snowball into now creating this bigger problem, which eventually could lead to a mental health condition. So these are just some ways to just try and bring it real time to make us understand how mental health indeed is very debilitating in old age, and people keep change, and the changes in mental health are real, and we need to embrace them. This is a statistic just to show us how falls in old age is one of the biggest conditions, or let me say risk, we deal with whenever we take care of older persons. This is just a statistic. As you can see, it's a global statistic. 28 to 35% of people aged 65 plus fall each year. And that's a very big percentage of falling. And, it can be as simple as just getting up of a chair, standing from a sitting position, standing position, and an older person falls. Falls can be as simple as that. But at the end of the day, in as much as it could be a simple thing, it can cause such massive damage. We see that risk increases with age. The older we get, the higher the risk of falling. And this is obviously for obvious reasons. We are losing our balance. And think about it. You are independent. You are very much capable of taking care of your own self and your routine. And then suddenly you feel your body, your muscles are wasting, but you still have that fire in you and you feel capable. And so you attempting to say, because sometimes we often associate aging with them being stubborn. But when we say stubborn, really it crops from a point where older persons were in charge of themselves. They were in charge and they were very much independent of themselves. And so obviously when this decline starts, they also battle with a lot of bargaining and denial, because you wonder, how am I not able to now, manage myself? So all that happens. And with that denial comes a lot of attempts to do things that your body at the moment is not able to. We often hear cases where, you might try to tell your older, I'll give you an example of my grandma who's in her late 80s. And, one time we were having it's like a tug of war, really, just for lack of a better word, in a sense that we're trying to explain to her, now you're slowing down. Now this is happening. Take it easy. But for her, she's like, I still want to do my stuff. I still want to go and meet my friends. I still want to go for my church meetings, all these things. That fire still is in them, despite you seeing their age changing. But this now comes with a risk, because it is that attempt or feeling as though I'm able to go, then suddenly a fall happens or an injury happens or something just happens. Falls are the second leading cause of unintentional injury or deaths. Like I've said, it could be as simple as just getting up from a sitting position and you fall, and that takes you down as an older person. And so it is one of the biggest conditions or the biggest risks we deal with when people go older. And the good thing is we have a lot of prevention. There's a lot of power when it gets to preventing fall, and I'll get into it when we take care of when we talk about how do we care or how do we prepare ourselves for our aging selves. Another risk which is happening, which I've also talked about, is mental decline. I feel I've talked about this a little bit in depth, where I'm saying we have a gradual loss of memory and decision making. And this is when we now see conditions cropping up. We see age-related memory decline. It could start as slow as just forgetting small, simple routines. It could just start as you losing your short-term memory or losing your long-term memory, and then slowly losing your short-term memory. When I say long-term memory, I mean when someone asks you, what did you do last year at a time like this, for example, back in September of last year, what did you do? That's long-term. If you're able to remember, that's long-term memory. Short-term memory is someone asking you simple tasks as, what did you have for breakfast today, as for example. And so you find that the older you get, you start losing this. You can start losing your long-term, and eventually crops into your short-term. And then over time, you start developing conditions like dementia, depression. And I would just also want to highlight that me saying mental decline happens does not mean that it is a surety in everyone, because obviously we take mental decline differently because of how we have buffered ourselves, or the things that we have believed in, or how we have maybe wired our brains to think about certain stuff or aging. And so it's not something that affects everyone eventually in old time, but it's something we need to just open our minds to say that, hey, there's a high risk, there's an increasing risk of dementia, there's an increasing risk of Alzheimer's. All of these mental related conditions are now coming up in old age. And reason it matters is it affects independence and daily functioning. As I've said, you can imagine the frustration of you not even remembering what you did yesterday, for example. It creates a lot of frustration, and it affects even how you function on a daily basis. It also increases the burden on the family. You can imagine having to nurse or cater to your loved one whose mental status is slowly declining. It can take a toll on you. Think about your mom, think about your dad, think about your grandparents, anyone who is loved one or dear to you. Watching them lose or slowly mentally decline can take a blow on you as well. And this also, as I said, leads to depression, isolation, or safety risks. You find older people choosing to isolate themselves because they feel, I don't want to be somewhere because maybe now I'm not able to hold anymore. I need to quickly run to the washroom, for example. And so now you don't want social settings because, you feel as though you don't want to be somewhere where you need to keep going up and down. It can start as simple as that. And that's why I'm giving real-time, simple examples to just show you that this small stuff eventually snowball to become a greater problem. As we've talked about risks, we've talked about how our bodies are growing down. We've talked about things we're expecting in our old age. We need to now open our minds to the possibilities of how do we prepare for aging? How do we make sure that what I'm telling you now, you are able to take care of it. As humans, we are wired to create a solution. We are wired to create a buffer. And so how do we create, similar to how we think, how do I prepare for my school? How do I prepare for my career? How do I prepare for my retirement? Aging is something we also need to start raising these questions. How do we prepare for a time when now I'll be old and perhaps all my children are working and they're busy, and I don't have, perhaps it's me and my wife, or it's me only. And how do I age and still age feeling fulfilled and dignified? This is how we are trying to tune our minds to think in that direction. How do I make sure that even when it's just me and myself, I'm still living a very dignified and fulfilling old age? While physical decline is natural, it doesn't mean we are less valuable. In fact, as I said, when I was talking about the changes in life stages, when we get to the elder ages, this is where the wisdom kicks in. This is where the stories, the memories are more valuable. You are a valuable member of the society as you age because there's so much that you are able to bring onto the table that your physical decline is not a hindrance to. So we're going to explore insurance covers, medical covers. How do we prepare for that? Because as I said, we are growing down. We are expecting health conditions to crop up. We're expecting perhaps just wanting to make sure, even if you don't have any health conditions, you just want to make sure that your health is optimum. So how do I make sure that even in my old age, I'm able to afford perhaps taking myself for a regular check in the hospital or to the doctors? We want to talk about financial planning because, as we know, health is expensive. So we do not want us to age when we are worrying about money, or we are worrying about how do we finance our health. We'll talk about home-based care. This is opening our minds to accepting care at the convenience of home. I'll talk about that in depth. I'll talk about the positives that come out of that. I'll talk about retirement home as well, because this is now something which is now coming up, which we need to also open our minds to. And then lastly, eventually, it's opening our minds because, as I said, we need to gradually remove ourselves from feeling as though aging is this gray area. We want to celebrate aging. And so we'll open our minds to the possibilities of aging and aging with grace. 80% of elderly persons in Kenya have not set up a good aging plan. Let me say it like that for lack of a better word. So studies in Kenya have revealed that majority of elderly people have not made adequate plans or preparations to cater for their older age. And 80 is a big number, honestly. As I was reading this, I was taken aback because I thought 80 is a big number for a fast-paced and a fast-growing generation, I would say. And so, as I said, majority of people do not have the best preparation when it comes to taking care of our older ages. So how do we prepare? As I said, we need to insure ourselves, get covered. We have good insurances covers right now, which offer senior coverage. I know that was a concern before, but now we have, for example, CIC, they do have a seniors Mediplan option. We have Jubilee. I won't go much into details, but I've already highlighted the examples. You can take a look into the insurance covers, get yourself covered by insurance. There's also SHIF, there's also SACCOs and CHAMAs, which we can get into to make sure we're taking care of our financial or making sure we're insured for health, any health concerns. Financial planning obviously needs to start early. So let's start early as soon as these conversations happen. It obviously ticks our mind. So we start early. We plan for medical expenses and long-term care because this is something we obviously foresee to happen. Write a will and consider estate planning, similar to how we write a will for our assets, for example. We should also think about creating a document where we write down how we would eventually opt to have care in our older ages. Think of support. This is where we are bringing in home care and retirement homes. We now have systems which are set in place which offer you support even at the comfort of your home. Home-based care, as I said, it's just care curated for you at the comfort of your home and includes trained caregivers, nurses, medical personnel who assist you with activities of daily living. These are people who will come in, they'll help you with meals, they'll help you eat, they'll help make sure if you have any medical conditions, you're being taken care of. It's also emotional support because, as I'm telling you, the world is getting fast-paced. You might not have your loved ones around to feel as though you have any social support, but the fact that you can have someone come to your home and offer you support, it's companionship, it prevents loneliness, and ultimately we support the family because, as I say, dealing with an older person and an older sickly person can be very frustrating to the family. And so home care aims to relieve the family of all of that. Now we have care homes which have come up, and this is basically institutions which have now been set up to offer 24/7 care to older persons. Here you can choose to go and retire. You have professional care on site. There's social connections because it's just not you. You get to feel as though there's a whole community of older people who are aging, and it gives you a boost. There's structured activities, so your day just doesn't feel like it's just moving. Obviously, in retirement homes, we face challenges. There's a sense of homesickness because you can imagine being removed from your home or where you consider home and someone institutionalizing you. So we do see, and these are cases which I was heavily handling when I was working for the home-based care program for Aga Khan. These are some real-time concerns we were dealing with. We were dealing with a lot of homeliness, isolation, because there's a lot of limited hobbies, no routine, no sense of belonging. So those are some of the challenges. This slide just shows us an example of real-time challenges experienced in retirement homes. And this is obviously not to discourage you. This is just to bring light to the possibility that indeed we do have some challenges in retirement homes. This is recent. It happened last week. The news broke last week. These are 3 Austrian nurses. This is Regina, Rita, and Bernadette. And these are nuns who ran away from a care home and they ran back to their convent in the Alps. And the reasons they were giving is they were giving testimonials to say, I felt homesick. I felt as though I've been structured to follow rules, but here I couldn't. I felt misplaced. And reasons they were giving is because, yes, this is a good place for them to age, to retire, to be safe, but how they were removed from where they filled their souls and taken to a care facility completely took them back. And so they had to run away and go back to the convent in the Alps. And now they're back and they're trying to revive it and revive their lives, and they're having a fulfilled life. This just to show that indeed we do have some concerns in the retirement homes, that not everyone would feel comfortable. Think about a retirement home as a boarding school that does not have any closing day. So if we do not have structured systems in homes, obviously people are going to feel very closeted. Another example which I feel we saw back in 2023 is the elder abuse happening in Thogoto, Nyumba ya Wazee in Nairobi. And this is something that broke out, and BBC covered it. You can check it out on YouTube. This just shows some of the things that go on in retirement homes. How do we create solutions? We need to structure routines in old homes where we have co-curricular activities on top of assisted living, where they feel as though there's something they look up to each and every day. A lot of emotional support. Visit. If you have institutionalized someone in a home, visit them. Encourage hobbies, encourage family visitations. Key takeaway basically is to say aging is easy. It's just about mental readiness. With the right financial planning, with the right caregiving solutions, think about home-based retirement homes, and ultimately you maintain your dignity, your identity, and your joy. Just to conclude, which I have completely gone over time, we should reflect and think about how we are taking steps to prepare for the golden years. This is a quote I just threw in by Betty Friedan, which says, aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. This is a chance for us to live each and every stage of our lives. So how do we prepare for that? We'll reflect into this as we get into our short, which will now be our short Q&A session. And then we'll just share our thoughts into that. And if we have any questions, we can also raise them at this time. Then we should be able to proceed from that. Thank you so much. I'll hand it over to you, Otieno. I'm so sorry I have gone over my mark of time, but you can take it over now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Antonia, are you able to handle if any questions?
Yes, good morning, everybody, and thank you all for joining Power Monday. I can see our hand is up, McKenna. But before you go on, as you prepare to go on, there is somebody who has just put on a question, Dr. Margaret. Did you know that 35 years is now classified as old? I don't know whether she's clarifying something or that's a question.
Antonia, today you are not on video. Oh, you didn't. Oh.
I'm on video. Maybe you can check the other page.
Oh.
The one speaking is not on video. I've joined with two gadgets because one is has good audio, the other one doesn't have.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody is just thanking you for fabulous presentation from June. I'm yet to see a question, but McKenna, you can unmute and go on.
I wanted to say that a lot of actions that is required in terms of a bill for older persons. Yes, the aging population, the people approaching 60 and above, is the fastest growing cohort that we have right now, and there is urgent need for the government to legislate the older persons bill, the older persons bill. There is need for that law, because even institutions of shelters of older persons, we do not have a law that regulates that in Kenya. So there is need as well, in as much as yes, we are all preparing for aging, there is also need for proper legislation to safeguard the rights of older persons as enshrined in the Constitution, Article 57. Thank you very much. The presentation was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I think we need to make use of the chat because we only have 7 minutes left to wind up everything. If everyone talks, we'll...
She's done a very good presentation. Right now, I'm in Cape Town. I had come for an International Federation of Aging meeting, and what she's doing is something that is done by developed countries in an excellent way, and it's a high time that Africa start picking up some of these lessons. You know that issue of retirement homes, it's something that Africa need to adopt, because the next 5-10 years, all of us will be at that level, and we will not even have places to go. So let's pursue that discussion. I personally do elderly work, and I go to a lot of international meetings to advocate for policy. I was doing climate change talk in that meeting, and let's speak about the elderly. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Antonia, any question that Ivy can handle let's limit the posts right now, except if it is a question, so that we don't miss. You can mute the other one or unmute. There was a question on. Thank you for this guidance that we often overlook. How can we follow up with IV after the session? IV has a telephone number and email. IV, you can post it there. There was a question on, please, how do you reconcile African culture on aging and modern Western culture on homes for elderly? As a is it what great whatever professional, how do you reach out to elderly in the rural areas? Ivy, did you get that question?
I believe I've gotten the question. They're asking how we integrate what we're
Yes.
doing here with the Western and how do we
Yeah.
get into the rural areas.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. As I'm just looking at the comments as well, I'm seeing a lot of people are encouraging us to talk more about older care, and we need more people to come up. And I believe the more we have the conversations, people in different countries will also wake up to this, and that's how we will slowly start integrating ourselves there. As of now, what we do is just in Nairobi because that's where the hub is and that's where it's easily accessible. But I believe with such platforms like which you guys are creating, and as we keep spreading the word, people will wake up to the fact that we need to create a safe and friendly environment for aging, because that's where we're all going. And just to ride off of what there's a lady who said previously, these are conversations we need to drive. And I believe through conversations, we should be able to get this impact into the rural sector, and eventually now create teams of people who feel the need to stretch this or strain this in the rural area.
Thanks. Somebody asked, that is Mariam, how you handle sickle cell or handle children with weak bones. I don't know whether that is part of, I don't think it's part of old age, but part of home care probably.
It's probably part of home care, but I mean, I'll leave my contact just like you've said,
Yes,
because I mean,
yes.
this conversation is broad. So should we have any questions aside than this topic, then we can explore there.
Yes, yes, I think that would be great. And then maybe like inform. Thank you, guys. Can we follow up this? How can we follow up with IV after? Yeah, that is still part of contact guidance. Well, my question is really just approximate monthly rate for live-in care. I know it must vary case by case. What's
Absolutely.
the cost? Yes.
It's a varied cost. There's no one size fits all because care is dynamic. Whatever care you might require and I require is very dynamic. So what we do is we curate packages for people depending on what they present with. And again, in the country, these are things, perhaps maybe the conversation would have been longer. I would have explored how the need for more institutions or more places to come up or open up where we have people who can live in, or like retirement home or hospices, because we do not have majority of that in the country. So what people opt to do is curate their own home environment into now a suitable environment where you can just continue getting medical care and still be at the comfort of your home. So there's no one figure. It's curated.
Thank you. I'd like us to stop here, then close the official part, and then you can stay behind and handle some other maybe pressing questions. We always have a contract to end at 8:15, the official part, and then we move into that other part where people can extend as they wish. We can add some 30 minutes. So announcements that we have include that. No, who is doing vote of thanks? Noel.
Cynthia Wanyonyi, are you in the house? If Cynthia is not in the house, then I'll assign Dr. Melvin Lima to give the vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Noel. My video is not working, so I'm not switching it on. However, what I'd like to say is it was very refreshing listening to Ivy breaking down aging. For those of us who are older, it's as if she was once old like us. So can you hear me? So I'm really grateful to Ivy for breaking down the aging process and how we can take care of older people and how we can take care of ourselves if we are old. I want to thank the team behind Power Monday, including Antonia Mutunga, Lady Noel, and Odhiambo Olale, and Otieno Paul Peter for putting this together every day, every Monday rather. So with those few words, I want to say thank you to the audience for being here. At one point, we were about 100 of us. It seems we are very intrigued by aging, and Ivy, we can't get enough of you. So we hope to see you in the next session of this particular day. Back to you, OPP.
At the dinner.
At the dinner as well. I hope you've booked yourself a ticket.